And that's what I'm talking about, is the system just it pulls people in, and it corrupts them. Even if I did play politics and I did actually vote, I couldn't support LaRonda because she's the incumbent, and where I'm from, the word incumbent means corrupted. And that's just because the minute that somebody is they're taken from we the people and put into a place of power, they're immediately detached from the reality of everyday life of real people. And that distance only grows as they stay in office, because they don't have the same worries and strifes to the degree that the little man on the street does anymore. They lose context of how it affects the everyday person. And the longer that they're in any kind of elected position, the more and more this gap grows, the more they are separated from the experience of the people they allegedly represent. And and that's why we're in the state of affairs that we're in this country, is because people keep going into the voting booth going, whoop, incumbent, they know what they're doing. No, they don't. Well, maybe they do, but they're getting further and further away from actually being able to represent you. And people just do it. They just do it. They do that, or they do the R and the D thing. And so, even outside of the flock system, anybody who's an incumbent, if I literally voted, I would never vote for an incumbent. And if I didn't have any other choice on a ballot, what I do is write in Captain James T. Kirk or Archer the Space Schnoodle, because I am not going to participate or facilitate the perpetuation of this horror that's happened in our country, that's brought us to our knees and to fascism. But you got a guy like Charlie Bibb who has access to it, and this is what is also concerning to me, and how I know that this whole thing, the political theater, is a spiritual thing. Because, in his example, like me watching it like the Netflix show that it is, because it's a Netflix show, and I don't think that the people who are in the Netflix show know that they're characters in a Netflix show. They actually, that's what makes the best characters. They really are engrossed in their character, and they don't really realize that they're in a theater, but the only difference is what they act out on their stage affects everybody around them, unfortunately. But like with the Charlie Bibb thing, and how systems assimilate and they congeal and chew good people who go into it up, is like with Charlie Bibb. Like when LaRonda Patrick was first brought into office, there was a lot of hubbub in my jurisdiction about him, allegedly stealing water from the water department. There was a lot of people who were mad about that, a lot of people who wanted to see some kind of justice about that. And, guess what happened? To my knowledge, nothing happened. And then later, when he was up for re-election, there was a guy who I actually interviewed, Ellis Carter, who was running for his post, who, again, if I bought into the theater and that government can actually do good, I believe that Ellis Carter actually would have went in there to represent the people, and would have listened, and would have, really thought about what he was, sacking and, voting on and all that good stuff. And when that election happened, it was a big funny story around here. Charlie Bibb allegedly broke their code, statutes, acts, and ordinances by going into a voting premise when he wasn't supposed to. It was on video, it was on camera, all that good stuff. The Houston County Democrat chairwoman caught him and made all these complaints and all this good stuff. And yeah, they're supposed to be in some department in Atlanta that's investigating it, and and all that good stuff. And it came down to, between Charlie Bibb, this guy who believes that not everybody has the same unalienable rights by their creator, that there's just a class of people who do, and then but not everybody deserves habeas corpus and the right to a fair trial and all that good stuff. That guy, in the election, it came down to a matter of one vote, and he's sitting there today because of one vote. And he had violated their own rules, allegedly, by going into a polling place when he wasn't supposed to, campaigning and all this good stuff. And it's wild because I'm sitting here and I'm like, all right, let me check the game rules of, how it works around here. And in the fictional city of Warner Robins' city charter, there are punitive measures that could have been taken by these people's local representatives and council members and mayors and city clerks and city attorneys and all that to get that guy out of there. And nothing happened. Right? So that's, when that transpired, I was kind of like, okay, something's up, man. They're all like, no, this guy who is just, he's the worst. When he's just getting away with everything, kind of like another guy that we know about, and nobody has the backbone around him to stand up and say, this is wrong and we've got to do something and we have the ability to do something. It's right here in our city charter, and they don't. Okay? They don't. And it brought me a lot of heartache, because if I were in any position where I had to work with that guy, if I heard somebody say that not everyone, and I'm paraphrasing, maybe like when I do my next episode, I might bring it up. I haven't watched it yet. I just read it in an article. If I heard somebody who is on my team or in my family say, nope, due process of law and habeas corpus is only for certain people, then I would have done something about it. I would have said something about it, because it's not right, it's not lawful, it's not moral, and it's not ethical to believe that or perpetuate that myth or try to spin that off like it's the truth. But I saw nothing, and the reason why is because government's not your friend. Play pretend government's not your friend. It's all going back to Dietrich Bonhoeffer's analysis of collective stupidity, right? Collective stupidity. We just go along to get along and play by these stupid codified rules that have gotten us to where we're at.
That's the end of this clip, but the full episode is waiting for you. Subscribe to the Downloaded Content Podcast on Spotify or watch on YouTube. For more behind-the-scenes content and exclusive access, sign up for the Downloaded Content newsletter. And while you're at it, pick up Then Came the Flood by Louis Crumpton, available now wherever books are sold.